Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Devils United. We're back with a very interesting show today. Is the race of the WSL, and we've got Lottie. Lottie, how are you doing today?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, and thank you as well for taking the time to come on.
I know I should thank you for having me on. I mean, it's don't get me wrong, I love going on other channels, but there's nothing more I enjoy than talking about WSL. Everyone talks about the Premier League, but WSL, it's just the race is just really cooking up, and it's exciting stuff. You can either play the mathematical game, or you can just see who goes where, really.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and especially in the last so many years, well, the last 3 years or so, the WSL is getting very, very interesting. And now you're seeing Aston Villa stepping up the levels.
Yeah,
If they continue the way they're going, they could
they
even
they
compete.
could be they could be competing for Champions League spots next season if they recruit well again over the summer. They could be a threat to the likes of all of the top four at the moment: Man United, Chelsea, Arsenal, and City. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, City. When you look at City, you think they should be competing in Champions League football. Their front line is formidable, but they're just not quite there yet. So I
Mm-hmm.
have a feeling Villa are looking to nick their spot, if anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say so. We'll say hello to people who's in the chat, and then we'll get into the discussion. Good evening, Statman. Thanks for coming in. Hope that you are well. Good evening, Reese. Hope you're well. Thanks for coming in. And just as Reese said, check the membership program, hit the like, subscribe as well, and also go and subscribe to Lottie's channel. It's in the bio. It's in the description as well. Hey there, Rather. Hope you are well. Thank you for coming into the chat. I know Reese has already asked the questions and Rather, but I'm gonna go on to Ravi's question first, just because I think it comes a little bit more relevant for the start. I've already had my views on this, but what do you think about VAR in the WSL?
You'd have to have all teams in first team stadiums. Well, the men's team stadiums.
Mm-hmm.
I know for my prime example I use every time is City. City, you can drag the VAR equipment across the road. Done. We did that. They did that for the Euros, but you need to have it all every single WSL game, every like Champions League, FA Cup. If you're going to use it all in those competitions, they need to be in the main stadiums for the club. And I know it was a long term plan. Arsenal are looking at that for us personally.
Mm-hmm.
But then you look at clubs like, say, for example, like Reading or Bristol City, who is coming up. Where are you going to get the VAR for them? They're not backed by a Premier League team. So, and I just feel it's not the right time for VAR and everything to come in. I've missed where the men's games changed over a bit now to more technological. I've missed the debates. Was that offside on stuff and all that kind of stuff? And it's the opinions and the conversations you have. And I've I've just enjoyed not having any of it. Apart from the Champions League, it's frustrating and it's irritating, especially with our semi final just gone. But I enjoy not having it. I'll be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. I said as well, to have VAR, you need to have a higher caliber of referees.
Yeah,
In
they
the
need to be full
WSL.
time.
Yeah.
They need to be full time. None of this part time. None of this part time and nonsense. They've got to be full time. They've got to know what they're doing. Because I don't know about you. Even if I'm watching a neutral game, I sit there and I question the calls and thinking, hang on, what is going on there? And
Mm-hmm.
it's some of them have double standards. Some have half that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree. And what you've seen is the best refs move to the men's football. We look at Rebecca Welch; she's gone to the championship because her kind of play for
Mm.
the standard of refereeing is miles better than the other referees. And you look at
Mm.
some referees as well, and the lines play refs as well, and you even look at the fact like they're still wearing trainers and not wearing football boots, and you think even that is a big massive difference because you would never see a Premier League
Mm.
ref with that kind of with that kind of way. And that's why I say the referees need to change the standard of the refereeing. And
Mm.
I think out of all the teams that are currently in terms of their stadiums, I think it's only Cities and United who has actually had VAR in there, because United had it in
Mm.
theirs for the Euros as well.
Yeah, no. Well, we obviously when we've got it for our Champions League ties, but there's no one else. Unless Villa are at Villa Park, they're not always there. So there's not. You look down that list and look at it and see teams like Tottenham, teams like I don't know West Ham. You don't see them play at their big grounds. I'm actually going to throw Chelsea into that mix as well because they don't like playing at the Bridge unless they're playing Tottenham and it's an easy win. Like you'd expect, like Arsenal did this season, you expect to see Man United at the Emirates. You expect to see Chelsea at the Emirates. Even a North London derby, even the local derby, I would expect to see you play at Old Trafford. And I know you don't like that, but it's a case of you want the fans to come in. You want fans to be coming in, and with something like a local derby of Man United and Man City, that is the one people are going to turn up to.
Yeah,
that's exactly what we do for our North London derby, and it's not great for the fans who go on a regular basis because you're the ones who are making all the sound, and you've got all the other fans sitting there. I think I was at the first leg of the quarterfinal, the second leg of the Bayern game. They were singing, "What do you think of Tottenham?" Tottenham have never been in the Champions League, and I'm sitting there with my hand in my head, like, why? And people were looking at me like, "Why aren't you singing it?" I said, "Because this is women's football. Tottenham are irrelevant. Like, it's not a rent free. It's a rent free thing." And I understand they're coming across to watch and try and games for the first time, but if you've got fans around you, like there was about 10 of us, fans around you singing the songs of individual players, open your ears up and just listen to what we're saying and then join in. Don't stand there and go, "Oh, shush." Because I was shushed at that game and I was sitting there like, this is unbelievable. But I continued singing anyway. So it's a case of everybody having backing from the main club, having access to the main stadiums when the men's is on as well.
I completely agree with you though in terms of having the main games at the men's grounds because I said bring in City, bring in Chelsea, bring in Arsenal because the games we have played at Old Trafford this season have been West Ham and Aston Villa. This was Aston Villa before they brought in Lucy Staniford, Jordan Nobbs. So that could have been a completely different game if we went and played them right now at Old Trafford.
Yeah.
And it just feels like for me, Man United only wants to bring in teams that are beatable. So it looks like, oh, you've got a high win here at Old Trafford.
Exactly.
And I think they've ruined the day at Old Trafford because, like, you have stuff like there was a band playing Sweet Caroline, and I was literally thinking, like, this is Manchester United. You should not, like, I'm obviously a Lionesses fan, but I would never put Sweet Caroline with Manchester United. And then you had like people who was not interacting, was not singing, and the thing that, as much as like me and you are not fans of Tottenham, I will actually praise Tottenham in this one thing is that they actually done men's and women's playing on the same day at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, where they've got the men's first and the women.
We've done that as well, but we tend to do it with our Emirates Cup and things. And I think that was one of the first time Jonas was in charge when we beat Chelsea. That was just on his over celebration. I think you'll remember that one. And then we had like the likes of Millie Bright taking the mick out when they won the trophy last season. So no, it does need to be done more. But I also feel like the clubs need to consider those men's fans who will not stay. Those men's fans that will not turn up. That you need to give that seat to women's fans. And that's what worries me because the Emirates is sold out every week in, week out. And if you're offering double tickets to these people, the women's fans and the children and the families are not going to get to go. And that's where we will miss out. And I mean, Meadow Park is sold out nearly every game now. Like I haven't had tickets for I haven't got tickets for the rest of the season. My last game was Leicester. So it's a bit of a nightmare in a way, but it's going in the right directions, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I completely agree. Just wanted to say thank you so much to Helga on Wheels. Thank you for the 119 NOK super chat. Because I won the bet about the young about him not coming to United, so I can get myself a nice cocktail with that. So thank you very, very much for the super chat. Few more people have come into the chat as well. Hey there, Static. Thank you for coming in. Hope that you are well. Hey there, Liam. Thank you for coming in. Hope that you are well. Lottie supports Arsenal. For Reese. Good evening, Daz. Thank you for coming in. Hope that you are well. And good evening to Georgina. Thank you for coming into the chat. Hope you are well. Thanks for coming into the channel. So I thought we'll break down each team individually, with the season. I'll let you pick which team you want to go for out of United, Arsenal, City, or Chelsea. Which one do you want to discuss first?
Let's go with City. I think they're the ones that I haven't really got much to say about. They've had 4 losses this season. They lost the first 2 opening games back to Villa and Chelsea. Then they've recently lost to Villa and us. And do you know what? There was a team I wasn't really backing to get any higher than 4th, but they've quietly gone about their business, and they were sitting above us until we beat Brighton the other night. But they're not to be underestimated for me. I mean, Bunny Shaw is still in for that golden boot race with Rachel Daly, although I think Rachel Daly wants it a little bit more than Bunny Shaw at this point. So I do think they're going to stay where they are, if I'm honest with you, and the title race is between United, Chelsea and Arsenal, if things go the right way for us on Wednesday night. If that's mathematically speaking, and that's a massive if it goes the right way.
Absolutely. I completely agree with Manchester City as well. I don't think, from what I remember, Aston Villa has not even lost a game against City this season, and then last season they was getting battered. They beat Liverpool, beat them last weekend, and I must be honest, after the game we were all happy because we knew mathematically they couldn't win the league, which was great.
No, I completely agree with that. But the thing is, that was a shock score for me, that scoreline. Absolute shock. It was like, wait, what? I think I was watching a different game, and I wish I'd watched that one because it looked so much better than what I was watching. I'll be honest with you.
The thing is, as well, based off the players who've come, because you look at, for instance, Layla, who's come in for their defence. Players like her, if they knew that they weren't going to be in Champions League football and they weren't going to compete for the league, I genuinely don't think that they would have come to Manchester City from Barcelona.
Oh no, definitely not. I mean, when you're getting players of that caliber from that specific team, knowing their reputation, you expect things to happen, and it's just not happened. And you can see her believing in the summer at this point.
Yeah, I do think that's definitely a player who I think will be leaving. And to be honest, I think looking at the current situation with teams abroad, I think Bunny Shaw could potentially be out of the way, because I know you've already mentioned that she scored, but she's the second highest goal scorer at the moment in the WSL. And you look at teams at the moment, Lyon, they're losing Hegerberg. Barcelona want a striker. I think Bayern Munich are going to want a striker there to compete with the likes of Pop for Wolfsburg. So I think she could be definitely linked to a club.
I think either I can't pronounce her first name, Heidelberg or Bunny Shaw would unsettle Pop either way. I mean, Pop's already a dangerous player. I'm not her greatest fan, but I recognise talent when I see it. She's already to have that competition to unsettle her. It's exactly what she needs at Wolfsburg, I feel.
Absolutely, I completely agree with that. And you look at as well the players who Arsenal have lost this season, like Lucy Bronze, Kira Walsh. It's just unbelievable the amount of players that Man City lost, especially on a free.
Yeah, no, 100%. But thing is, with Barcelona, they sweep up all the best talent. I mean, after the Euros, they were straight on Lucy Bronze and Kira Walsh. Like I was sitting there thinking after the Euros, before any of this happened, like, yes, I got another season. Kira Walsh can sit there and watch as a neutral, because I absolutely, literally, for me, she is the midfield female version of Pirlo for me, and I love watching the way she plays. And then I realised when I found out she was going to Barcelona, I was so irritated. And then the Lucy Bronze came out, and I was like, oh, great. But they just sweep up the best talent, and that is why they win things. I feel like the English clubs or wherever they are in the other leagues, you need to keep hold of your players. Stop sending them to Spain.
It's like with the WSL, they're sweeping up talents from like Italy and the Netherlands, and then we're the ones who are making them fantastic players. Like we've seen like Palova already from Arsenal, and then that's when you see Lyon and Barcelona and even Real Madrid, they're looking at getting top players now.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, thing is with Lyon, I think in terms of where they can play, they're sort of fading out of being Champions League winners. They need to replenish their ranks so much. I mean, they shouldn't have lost to Chelsea. Should not have lost to Chelsea. But I do feel the Lauren James did sort of dive, but that's another conversation for another day, if you know what I mean.
Oh, that's just a pain, Chelsea, let's just say. But
oh yeah,
we both have that feeling, that's for sure.
no. We had a trophy off them this season, so I'm quite happy.
Just a
Sorry, mate.
We haven't got
Sorry,
one.
mate.
But I do personally think if Leo Golden's goal was never offside, because Tuna was out.
I've watched the replays of that. If that wasn't offside, you would have been in it for another half an hour, and then penalty shootout, you would have been in it for sure.
I really do think so. I think it would have really changed the tempo of that game, and afterwards, I think United was just looking more at pretty shots, wanting to be more precise, and it just didn't work out.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, it's as I said to you earlier before we started the show. I didn't see Emma Hayes letting another trophy go. It wasn't going to happen. And you said to me earlier, you've had eight losses and one draw out of them. It was, although I always like an underdog story, but I just couldn't see it happening, unfortunately.
No.
So, and it had to be Kerr that had to bury it as well. It had to be Kerr, unfortunately.
Always Kerr.
I know, right?
8 goals. 8 goals in 8 games and 2 assists against Man United from Kerr.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Ouch. I've got another trip to Kings Meadow coming up, so I'm expecting her to get round Lotta and Raphael. So you know.
Hey there, Paul. Thanks for coming in. Hope that you are well. Shall we move on to another team then? I'm guessing there's not much to really say apart from a whole we beat them this weekend.
Yeah, no, with them, Chelsea doing what Chelsea do, unfortunately. They have been injury plagued, but somehow they're still going, and they've only lost twice this season. I think them, if they lose Pernell Harder and Magdalena Eriksson this summer, that is going to be a massive blow, because apparently they're now off to Germany. So it's
yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see what they recruit.
Because it is interesting, because for me, especially like Pernell Harder, she's played 3 games on the trot after an injury, and she was the one who made that difference for me with that Chelsea team yesterday.
Yeah, she was the game changer, massively.
Absolutely. I do think for me with Chelsea is that you've seen all of the some fantastic talents going to Chelsea as well, and I just feel like you look at players who sign like Buchanan. You'd think like with her kind of caliber that she'd be able to slot in with another player.
I do feel with her, especially watching her so closely in our final for the Conti Cup, she's not settled into WSL football yet. I mean, there was a clear clip on her heel, and Caitlin Ford should have had a penalty in that game because of her, but she got away with it because of the way where the ref was standing. I think she'll have maybe another few months in the beginning of the season, then she'll be settled down, and we should be seeing a Chelsea sort of standard from her. And Emma Hayes has this knack of bringing out the best in majority of her players as well, unfortunately.
That's the thing, I think Emma Hayes, I know she's had some criticism of rival teams because we know that it's just kind of one of them rivalry things, because Emma Hayes is quite dominant in the WSL, and and I think she's one of them type of managers. She will adapt to whatever resource she gets. Like you've seen, even where Chelsea's changed formation several times this season. Yeah. They've gone to 2 at the top. They've gone in the 4-4-2. They've changed to 3 at the back. And you've even seen it where they've had about 5 players on the bench this season. And I think that's what you see. A talented manager can do things like that.
I know, 100%. I mean, she's done so much for the women's game. I know she was with us for a stint, and then she moved and I think she went out to LA. I can't remember 100% her path route, but as much as I have a disdain for this woman, she has done so much for the women's game, and her commentary is spot on. A little bit Chelsea biased when she does do it with internationals, but I just, how do I put it? She's done a lot for women's football, regardless of people's opinions, and she will always be Emma Hayes, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
With her attitude, although I've got to say some of her interviews were stinky. I mean, what was it? I think after the Conti Cup, it was we looked like a team. We won loads of trophies, though they didn't look like they won anything at all. And you sit there and think, hang on a minute, how many? If you know Arsenal's record, we've got way more in the cabinet than Chelsea do. And I think there was also the Barcelona comments. They look panicked on the ball, and you look at that game and you sit there and think, what were you watching? The amount of space that opened up for Barcelona, it was ridiculous in that second leg.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
I think sometimes you've got to sit back and own, okay, I did this wrong, and she won't do that. And I think that's what irritates a lot of people. Whereas Jonas will own his mistakes, Skinner will own his mistakes, and yeah, just can't stand the woman, to be honest.
I understand what you mean, because she
Yeah.
does make excuses, and that one I could think of in particular, it was actually from last season when Chelsea got knocked out of the Champions League in the group stages, and she was like, "Oh, it's near Christmas, it's cold, we're tired," and it was just like,
I think
what?
she's complained about the volume of games. She was away 3 games in a bounce within like a space of a week and a bit, and it's like you sit there and think, you want to be the elite team in this league, you have got to keep going. I mean, we had Jonas complain about that last season. He hasn't said a word this season because he knows now what it takes to be in this league, and this is and what we want and where we want it to go. And although she's leading the way in female managers, she's just not owning stuff, and it irritates me.
I think for me, as much as I like Emma Hayes, I have a massive, well, as much as I think Emma Hayes is good, I have a massive liking for Carla Ward. I think she is an incredible manager, and whatever happens, I do think eventually she will get into a top club as well.
I know, definitely. If eventually, but it's just the case of when the opportunity comes along for me personally, and it's also a case of when is the WSL going to expand again? That's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for the 3 up, 3 down system, not 14 points and you're safe sort of thing. And it's a case of expanding everything, expand the championship, expand the leagues below, and put the investment there. And then we'll have more games to go to, more fans hopefully turning up, because it's going to be more competition, not just the same 3 teams winning. Add United into the mix this season, not the same teams winning it all the time.
Absolutely, and I think for us, we was just one of them, like, we just wanted to break in that top 3 eventually, which we ended up doing. I think Zoe's made a good point here in terms of Emma Hayes having a huge budget compared to everybody else in the WSL.
That's because Chelsea are willing to invest. I mean, you look at the other clubs, let's be honest, I don't know if you saw this, we had Levy from Tottenham turn around and said, we should have a format like the NWSL. And I sat there and I thought, are you actually joking? Please just shut your mouth.
I was fuming.
I was like, this is English football, not American soccer. I never want to see that format because it doesn't bring any interest for me personally. I mean, at the moment you're looking at that relegation battle. I mean, you've got Tottenham, Leicester, and Reading. There's like 3 points in it, and that's the sort of thing you want to be seeing. And then you look at the other end of the table, same thing, more or less. 3 points in it, depending on the scorelines from Wednesday. So, and that's what you want in football. You don't want mundane and boring.
I said the same though. I think with Daniel Levy, the only reason why he wanted the NWSL because he knows Tottenham could get relegated if the bottom 3 was to.
But he's just spent all this money on Beth England like she's going to fix everything, and she's really not. I mean, what I can't get my head around is they've benched Mano Iwabuchi. She's an absolute bloody baller. She's amazing for Japan. Why are you not playing her? I don't understand it. I really don't. I know Arsenal kind of send their players out there to retire before we move on, but it's a case of use what you were given, use what you're given, or there's no point.
Mm-hmm.
Because we didn't see much of Mana last season because she had operations on her ankles over the summer in Japan, and she was up and running fine beginning of the season, but I just haven't seen her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think the game I seen her when it was like, I can't remember what other games there was, but there was that 2-1 win what we played at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and I'm sure she assisted Beth England's goal.
Yeah, she did in that game, but that's the only game that comes to mind when you actually think about it.
Yeah.
Like when she was at Villa with us, she was scoring. What's happened?
Mm-hmm.
So is it a case of is it the coach, or is there a problem in the background, or what? I don't understand.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, I agree completely with you, to be honest. And you're looking at as well, at like, for instance, they haven't got anybody there apart from Beth England and Iwa who can actually score or assist. Like you look at, first of all, the system doesn't work for me in terms of how they play. They've got. And the fact at the start of the season they was playing Ashley Neville as a winger, I was like, how more defensive do you really want to be?
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, you can be defensive all you like, but that's not it's the way that, say, Liverpool are playing this season, and the likes of Everton and Villa, especially Villa. You look at their fifth spot and you expect to see Tottenham there, or even West Ham.
Mm-hmm.
But you're seeing the likes of Aston Villa, you're seeing Everton and Liverpool completely safe, whereas everyone else is dropping off. I mean, Reading, let's be honest, they've just not investing properly.
Mm-hmm.
I
It's
know
a
they're
shame
not,
for Reading.
and I know it is. I'm kind of sad to see them go because although we're getting Bristol City coming up, and they're going to be the new non-Premier League back team, it's just sad to see them go. If you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. I think the thing is with Reading, I didn't mind Reading because they were one of them underdogs teams where they will manage to beat one of the top teams in the WSL. They'll manage to scrape a win or they'll manage to scrape a draw. And then this season, it's just really, really not worked out for them. Probably a main factor as well, Leicester getting Willie Kirk. I think that's really helped them massively, as well as Leipzig. And you see in Brighton with the brand new manager. And the thing is, Reading's not done anything to fix what's going on with them right now. They'd just rather leave as it is.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's helped that the men's side of things have been relegated to League One either. So it's I think they'll be back, but it'd be a couple of seasons, I think, before they're fully up and running properly again, which is a shame.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Moving on with Chelsea as well. For you, like, what do you think's your opinion on them? With like, you've heard mixed reviews about the Champions League, and people say the bottlers of the Champions League, and I just wanted to get your opinion because not that I think they are bottlers in a way, but under the same breath, I think you look at other calibers of teams in there as well.
Oh yeah, no, you look at the caliber of Wolfsburg. I mean, that's scary in itself. Bayern Munich is scary when you look at it compared to Chelsea. Like, yes, they've got one of the best strikers in the world, Chelsea, but she's on more times a season than Stine Blackstenius, and that's a problem because it's at the point at Arsenal we make a joke about it with Stine. Oh, she's offside again, for God's sake, sort of thing. It's frustrating, but at the same time we make a joke about it. But Sam Kerr's offside more majority of the time. But you look at the quality in Europe and you look at Chelsea. I mean, the quality is there, but it's not quite enough to get them all the way to beat that team in the semi-final or in the final. You've seen it over the years. It's just not enough, and that trophy is still eluding Emma Hayes. It's still eluding her, unfortunately. But there's a few things she needs to add, and she just hasn't quite got a grip on it for me.
I think the main thing for Chelsea was losing Frank Kerber because Sam Kerr has not been on that caliber what we have seen, like 20 games 20 goals, 18 games 18 goals, and got about half the goals as what she's got this last season. And that's very concerning. And I've always said, like, I think Sam Kerr's world class. There's no doubt about that. But one thing that I've always said, I said it on the stream yesterday, there's a difference between Russo and Sam Kerr. Russo drops back to the point where she will try and grab that goal and feed herself, whereas Sam Kerr will never, ever feed herself. She will rely on other people to try and give her the goal. And some ways, I think it's good.
What makes her a great goal scorer. She's like the female version of Didier Drogba. Exactly the same thing. But she hasn't been prolific as she has been this season. But it's sometimes you need to do the work. And that's what I like about Russo. She does the work to get the goals. So
yeah, I completely agree with that. I do think as well they do need more. Like, you look at who they've got at the moment. Only they've got I don't know if I'm going to pronounce it right. Wrighton, that's it. Yeah. She's been absolutely superb. I'd easily say she's the best player of the season for Chelsea.
Yeah, 100%. Normally you put Sam Kerr's name in there, but no, it's Guro writing all day long.
Absolutely. And as well, Lauren James, she's really stepped up a level, because when she was at Man United, she was playing more as a striker than a winger. And I've always said about Lauren James, I think she's a fantastic player. If she went to another team, she's going to be world class. But the problem is that she was very greedy as well. She would never, like, instead of giving the simple pass and letting an easy goal go in, she'd rather shoot from a very tight, awkward angle. And I think she's gone a lot less selfish at Chelsea, and that's really helped her massively.
No, definitely. The thing is, you want players like her to be unselfish, and that is how you're going to create the opportunities and the chances and the goals. So that's what you want from a team. I mean, I like how do I put it? It's a bit. I think the best way to explain it is, at the moment, Victoria Pelova. When you watch her, she so badly wants that goal. There's opportunities to pass the ball and get that goal, but she won't do it. Well, because there's an age and an inexperience thing, she won't get it. But hopefully, halfway, maybe next season, it will click, and she will take that attitude and take it with her, because it's the only way we're going to get goals.
Yeah, I agree completely with that, to be honest. Before we go on to, do you want to go at Man United, or do you want to go with Arsenal
Either,
next?
I'll let you choose. We've got the two easy ones out of the way.
Yeah, that's true. We'll say hi to people who's in the chat as well. Some more people came in. Hey there, Zoe. Thanks for coming in. Hope that you are well. I'm proud of our women. Chelsea, no way did they deserve that. I do think if it wasn't for our finishing, we could have easily been 2-0 up first half. But I am happy with how the women's team was. They played it superb to get to the final, and none of us was expecting an FA Cup final at the start of the season. So we are proud of how it was, but I think there were some little things in the FA Cup that really annoyed us as a fan base. One of them was Matt Skinner. He threw the medal on the floor when he received it, and we felt like it was quite disrespectful, that the fact the team has really worked their socks off to get to where it is. They've over-exceeded, I'd say, to get to the final, and it's that pure disrespect.
Expectation this season for sure. And to do that, I didn't realise he'd actually done that, and it's just lowered my opinion with him. Unfortunately, I was sitting behind the bench when you guys beat us at the Emirates, so I'm not impressed with him at the moment. But yeah, no, that's just plain disrespectful. You guys have come so far since you've come up, and it's just disrespectful, and you need to stop backing your players. Yes, they've done everything right. Yes, they might have done everything wrong, but you still back your players at the end of the day. End of story.
And like, there was another quote as like he was blaming the defenders for the defeat. Like, he was talking about it. If the defenders were a little bit quicker, we would have saved Sam Kerr's goal. And I think you can't just openly blame one position as to why we lost.
Can't. No, you can't at all. But he's also got to remember he's coming up against the greatest striker in the world. She is number one for a reason. And the players that she's had around her at the time, they're equally as good as anyone's defence, midfield or forwards. You're only as good as the player next to you, in my opinion. But unfortunately, it just wasn't your day.
I'll tell you what he said. Skinner was asked, is he sick of the sight of Kerr? He said, I like watching Sam play. She's an excellent forward, but I think we know the key to stopping her. Stopping her would be going behind stops her play. But if we could sprint as fast as she did, we would have been there.
I don't. Do you know what? He's just putting the whole game down. I mean, a lot of your fans, like Zoe on Media House here, are very proud of how far you guys have come, and it's just, it seems like it's not good enough for him. I get he wanted to win the silverware. I understand that, but sometimes the odds are stacked against you, and it's just not going to happen. And he needs to take a piece of humble pie and said, okay, fine, we didn't win this one. Proud of you, like, sort of thing. That's what you need to do, because that's going to lower team morale, and you don't want that, especially with 2 games to go.
Especially who we've got ahead. We've got Man City at home, and then we've got Liverpool away.
Exactly. You don't need that. He's gone about that completely wrong. Like, if you're gonna say stuff like that, say it behind closed doors. Do you know what I mean? Don't publicly say it, because I don't know. What were your thoughts on that, actually, initially, when you first saw that?
I was a bit annoyed, if you want me to be honest, because I actually think the defence actually was very solid yesterday. And I think if it, like, you've seen that Man United has been battered by Chelsea in the past, absolutely annihilated. And I think this season we've really stabilised that defensive honour. Laetitia, Turner and Blundell, and they've all worked absolutely fantastic. They've worked the socks off. They've got the lowest goals conceded in the league. So that just really shows the levels of what that defence has really done this season. And then even Hayley Ladd, I'd say Hayley Ladd for me was player of the match that game. And she was all over the pitch. She was stopping play here, there, everywhere for Chelsea, especially in that first half. And it just feels like it was kind of discrediting what all the hard work, what actually happened in that game. Because based off the players that Chelsea actually had on that pitch, it could have been a lot worse than what it was.
No, it could have. I mean, we've seen some stinking scorelines. I mean, to lose 1-0 in an FA Cup final, it's not the end of the world. If you were battered, I'd understand why he was saying that, but you weren't. It was 1-0. And yeah, I don't understand him.
It was really the medal more as well what annoyed me more than anything.
It's just plain disrespect, especially after all the work you've done this season. Like, someone needs to have a word.
Absolutely. Good evening, Niall. Thanks for coming in. Hope that you are well. Good evening, Solo. Thank you for coming in. Hope that you are well. Good evening to our Lumber. Thank you for coming in. Hope that you are well. Hey there, George G. Hope you are well. Thanks for coming in. And hey there, the Mr. Arsenal podcast. It's the Tottenham DNA rubbing off here.
That's Ryan. Yeah. He's a massive Manu Iwabuchi fan, so he'll know what was talking about earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty funny with the Tottenham DNA. We know what Tottenham's DNA is like, men and women.
Yeah, I mean, I heard. Yeah, I mean, although their under 18s did win a trophy the other night, so it was a bit of a shock, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. I bet you wasn't happy about yesterday's game either, though, was you?
They didn't turn up. What do you want me to say?
No.
It just didn't happen. But the thing is, Brighton didn't play that amazingly anyway, so it's a bit like, how do you balance that game out? Because they've had good football this season. We've had good football season. It was just like, it was one of those really weird games. And like, I think battering the women 4-0 in the midweek and then asking for Sunday as well was a bit much. So, yeah. It's what it is at this point. If you told me I had Champions League football next season at the beginning of last season, I would have laughed in your face. Put it that way.
I'll let you go on to Arsenal then. Talking about Arsenal, and I'll let you discuss
What
about
do you mean? Do you mean Injury FC?
Injury FC. Yeah.
Yeah.
I seen a picture where of Mead and a couple of other players as well in the injury room. So
Yeah. The ACL club. There's no more room in the door.
Yeah,
It's
I'll
just
let
been.
you go on with that this season anyway.
Yeah, no, it's been a bit of a ride for us, really. I've loved every moment as usual, being down at Meadow Park. Don't get to away games very often, but just being there and being with the fans and watching them girls play, whether it be at the Emirates or Meadow Park, it's just been an overall great season. Beating Chelsea in that final, icing on the cake. It's one of them things where you think you're going to a neutral ground like Crystal Palace, and it's, are we going to get this? Are we going to nick this? And yeah, it was great to see them like lift the trophy. I mean, the last FA Cup I went to, final was in just after COVID, and we lost at Wembley to Chelsea, unfortunately. So my curse is now officially over, so to speak. But it's a case of we can push for this title as well now mathematically. If we beat Everton, is 3 points in it from the top teams, basically. Although I hate to say it, Maze, I think Chelsea might nick it off you. I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest with you, but Champions League spot is still a successful season for me. We've got a trophy under our belt. If we get that Champions League spot, happy days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mathematically, all three of us could still win the league, but the problem is the games in hand, because we've played every single game possible now, whereas yourself, Chelsea's both got games in hand. So it's a matter
Wednesday.
of where how the games are gonna really turn out. But we do know for sure at least 2 of the top 4 is going to be dropping points in the weekend.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, our midweek games, we've got Arsenal away to Everton. Chelsea have got an easy win at West Ham. I hate to say it, but they've got an easy win. I think over the weekend, I think the one to watch is going to be you and City. That's going to be an interesting game. Mm-hmm. So, but anyway, back to my season. Sorry, yeah.
It's okay.
I had a good. Apart from Injury FC, I'm really proud of our girls. The way they stepped up in that semi-final was bloody believable. Against Wolfsburg to like go toe to toe and then lose it in the last minute. I was put it this way, I was a bit devastated because I sat there and I was singing for over 120 minutes, and it's just like, come on. I was absolutely gutted for them having a 60,000 and 63 people in there to come in to watch them when there was only 5,000 last year when I was there. It's absolutely incredible how far the impact of the Euros has been. But at the moment, they're playing for the people who can't play, and that's the kind of fighting spirit you want to see. We don't have the likes of our captain Kimmy Little. We've lost our vice captain in Leah Williamson. Beth Mead and Vivian Miedemar are out. Laura Reimert is out. We're down to the bare minimum, and the fact that we're still sitting third on the table, couldn't be happier with them.
Mm-hmm.
Really couldn't.
You've really played spectacular this season as well. I completely agree. And getting to that semi-finals of the Champions League, I actually watched both the legs, and you played well in that first half. Like, no one was expecting you to get a draw out from the Wolfsburg round, and it is devastating because I said even though I'm not one there, I can't, like, you're not going to support Chelsea and Arsenal in the WSL, but I've always said I'd always like a WSL team to get to the final. I knew Chelsea wasn't happening with Barcelona, so I wrote them off anyway.
No,
so
I think Barcelona had the easiest route out the lot, although I do give it to, was it Roma they played? Yeah. They did score against them. I'll give it to them. For their first time around, they did well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did play very, very well, Roma. And I think for me with Arsenal as well, you've got, like, for instance, Kate McCabe going in all different positions. So, and I think for me, that really displays a great leader.
No, she is. I mean, if you've watched her Captain Ireland, you know what to expect. But where I've seen highlights and things, because I'm a Lionesses fan, I don't go out my way to keep an eye on things. I and the other girls, I do highlights. But during those semi-final legs, it was an opportunity to see her and how she runs the Ireland team. And I couldn't be proud of her. Although I was at one point, I was sitting there, please don't get a card, please don't get a card, because she did lose her rag just a tiny little bit.
Yeah.
So it's always a risk with her, but with her, a lot of people don't like her because she's that old school player that you're used. Not everybody's used to seeing, and they think, oh, she's dirty, she's cheap. No, she's an old school player that doesn't take anyone's shit. Excuse my language, but it's no. I couldn't be proud of her. They put a full shift in for that game. Every single one of them, including Laura, who we did lose to another ACL, unfortunately.
Talking about ACLs, because there actually was a question, I think it was from Reese, and he wanted your opinion on it. What's your thoughts on all the ACLs post to Euros, and where do you think the main issue lies?
I think we need to start looking at the physiology of our women players, if I'm honest with you. If you look at the football boots we have and the kits and things, well, mostly the football boots for me, they're designed for men's feet. Women are built differently. I've always said that, like, regardless. And they need to start doing research into things. I know Adidas have stood up and say, okay, we're going to look at this, because to have 4 in one season, it is a lot. I mean, I think globally it's hit nearly the 200 mark globally across all women's leagues now, and it's not like the FA haven't got the research there. They're just not using it. Oh, we've done ACL research in men's football, we don't need to do this. No, you need to look at this, because you've got to take other factors like the menstrual cycle and everything else into consideration, because there is a link there. I am convinced of that. When you sit there, I don't know, like I think I was scrolling through TikTok the other day, I saw an interview with Leah Williamson talking about playing and having your period. It's a hard job, and you can see when players are struggling as well when they're all throughout, and it's something that needs to be taken into consideration. They need to do more research on it, and what they've got now is simply not good enough. Doesn't matter if it's just my team. I mean, the WSL Championship, the whole pyramid. It's not good enough for anybody. Even the academies, it's not good enough. They need to pull their finger out.
Georgina has said apparently there's a new boot for women designed for ACLs in mind and movement.
Yeah, they are. G is 100% right on that. They're looking at it, but whether it happens next season or not is a different story. So.
I never used to think about the boots. I think the ones that I used to think was I heard about the hips, because the way, as you've already mentioned, the way women are built differently compared to men, and people think it's the intensiveness of training what could take into consideration as well. I'm not too unsure on what you think about that as well.
Well, it could be. The thing is, but when it's like I said earlier, if you want to be top of the table, you want to be in the elite leagues, you've got to have that amount of training. The season you guys came back, season before you guys came back up, they finally made everybody fully professional. Like, we were all semi-professional. Arsenal went semi-professional to 2002. You look back on all the silverware and stuff we'd won before 2002, and you look at, hang on a minute, why is it taking it so long? So it's a case of looking at research. It's a case of the FA pulling their finger out, and the doctors within the clubs and everything else speaking out to go, hang on a minute, this is wrong. We need to start looking into it, and they need to put all their heads together and sort it out, because the simple answer is we're built differently. I mean, you look at a physiology of a woman to a man, like. The men are more physical. We're more technical with our football, unless you're Katie McCabe, of course, or Pop, for example. I'm pretty sure she's recovering from being knocked out by Jen Beattie still, but we're just built differently, and the research needs to be done. It really does.
By a mile, it does need to be done. I'm glad you mentioned about the periods as well. With from what I've heard, I don't. Like, they was looking at changing shorts for. I can't remember if it was for the Lionesses or if it was for.
They changed it. They've changed it for the World Cup. They've changed it to blue shorts,
which I think is really great.
No, it is. No, 100% it is great. I mean, I know with Adidas, they were originally wanting to change our shorts as well for the season, but the girls were happy to stay in white shorts. So they had that choice, which I was quite pleased about. But the fact that they've got blue shorts, absolutely bloody brilliant. It's the way forward. I mean, when I used to play football, I'd always have dark shorts on, never white shorts. I don't know about you, Mace, but I'd never wear white shorts.
I'd never
Absolutely
wear
never.
white shorts either. I'm not a massive fan of white shorts anyway. I'm always wearing blue or orange.
Yeah. And I think you want those kind of colours, because if anything does go wrong, you're sort of covered, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to ask one last question about Arsenal as well, and you probably think I kind of knew you was going to ask this.
Yeah.
I think you already know now. Russo about to Arsenal on the deadline day.
I would have loved that to happen. That would have upset so many of you, especially a specific person who is terrorizing my channel. He happens to be a Man United fan. Yeah, just, do you know what I would have loved to happen for it to happen, because she'd moved out. She was obviously living with Toonie at the time, and she'd moved out. So that was the rumor. It was like, okay, come down to London, we'll have you. And when you're at the point when you've got no Vivian Miedemar, you've got no Beth Mead, it's like, yes. And Stina Blackstenius isn't firing. Lena Hurtig hasn't settled down. You're like, yeah, come on, we'll have you, sort of thing. But I think if you get Champions League, you'll be able to keep hold of her. I think maybe for another year. But I can't read the future, unfortunately. Do you think
I'm
she'll
not
stay?
too sure. I'm honestly not so sure because we got the head of development this year, and as well as Russo, Honours contracts up, and Mary Earps has got an option to extend.
You're losing owner. Sorry, but I feel like
I
she's
hope not.
imprisoned on the bench. She needs to start more. She needs to start more for me.
I'm not too sure what's going to happen at all with Man United because 12
What would you
players
like to
are up for
happen?
contract.
What would you like to happen? Who would you keep, sell?
Honour. She makes a massive difference in the team, and she's even, from what I've read, she wants to stay at Man United. But the only thing is, she, believe it or not, she is one of the lowest paid players in Manchester United.
No way.
One of the highest paid is Rachel Williams with 100k per week. And what she's saying is, I want to be paid what I'm worth. I'm playing here constantly at Manchester United. I want to be paid for that, and I understand that because you look at Barcelona, they're gonna swoop for her eventually, and I'm gonna open she will get into any club, in my opinion, because she is for me the best fullback in the world at this moment in time. She could get in any side. And I think the thing is I don't understand why Manchester United is not paying her worth.
Yeah, no, the thing is, do you think that's it could be lack of investment from the Glazers? I mean, you've been liquidated once. I did see your tweet about them turning up for the final, and I thought that was bloody cheeky as well. I was with you on that one, and it was. The thing is, when you watch owner for Spain, like it's. I'm just trying. I don't like these comparisons between the men's teams, but it's a bit like watching Alves.
Yeah.
And it's although she's got her own edge to it, it's kind of sad just not seeing enough of her. Whereas if you put her into that Barcelona team, she will be starting every game, like she does for Spain. She really will. Thing is, I didn't really take much. I'll be honest with you, I didn't take much notice of her until I went to watch Spain Germany at Brentford. In the Euros. So I definitely do enjoy watching her when she does play.
To be honest, as much as I like Russo, I said the problem is with Russo is that she's not a 15 goal a season striker, and I think if you want to compete in the league, you need to have a striker who could score the 15 goals. You know, if you had all your players fully fit, Miedemar could easily get you 15 goals. You know, Sam Kerr's going to easily get you 15 goals. You know, Buddy Shaw's going to easily get you 15 goals. But there's no one there at Man United who will get you 15 goals. Russo's got a best highest goal record at the moment with 10.
Wow. Thing is with her, you expect her to get 15 goals a season with her caliber, but she doesn't sound like she's firing in all cylinders completely. And maybe it's a case of getting that extra person in behind her to start feeding her.
Yeah. I think the thing is because she drops so much. By the time she gets to to the front, the ball's been given away. For
Would you
instance,
say she's a bit like Harry Kane in that sense?
in a kind of way, yeah.
Oof.
But I just feel like but the thing is, Harry Kane he still shoots quite a bit, and I'm not saying it is because of this, but since I think Arsenal have come in, and I think it's kind of turned ahead in a way to think, oh, a top club here, Champions League club wants me here,
yeah.
And I think that might have swayed her a little bit in a kind of way to think, I really want Champions League football. What am I doing here, kind of thing? Because she hasn't scored many goals since January. I think she's probably scored 3 at most, maybe. She hasn't scored at all.
That's not great. That's not looking great for the World Cup then, because personally, at this point, I don't feel she should be Ellen White's replacement.
I
agree.
She
doesn't score enough for me. I know Ellen White missed a lot, but
she
at least
was the offside queen.
Yeah, especially for England, it was just a case of who do you put up there? You look at the top 2 scorers that are English. It's Beth England and Rachel Daly. I'm a massive Rachel Daly fan, and I'd start her there. But a lot of people have an issue of her being up front because they don't give her the chance to be up front where she should be. I don't like her as a defender. She's great, but
I'm in 2 minds because for me, I think Daly, she is a fantastic striker, and she's done it in the NWSL, and she's shown her worth here now in the WSL. And I think for me, if we had a good enough left back, I would actually put her as a striker. But my problem and concerns is we don't have a good enough left back or even a left centre back now because I don't think Greenwood really has been fantastic for England. No. In my opinion. So I think it's very, very that's where our weakest spot is. And I think a lot of teams will exploit that. And I think knowing Daly's done fantastic there at the Euro, bar Spain, that's why I'd say I'd play her there and I'd put England up front. But if that was any case scenario, if we had that, I'd be playing as a striker.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I completely agree with you there. It's just a case of will Serena pick up Beth England or not? That is the question, because Rachel Daly will be on that team, will be on that plane to Australia. But will Beth England go? She left Chelsea to get that game time. She's getting the goals. Will she have the opportunity to be England's? Will England get the chance to be England's top goal scorer? Sorry, that was a mouthful. I was like, does that make sense? But it's a case of getting her in or not.
Exactly.
Whether she goes, I mean, I'd seriously take her over Katie Robinson from Brighton. I just don't understand it. How is Katie Robinson getting minutes over Beth England? Has she done? Unless there's a personal issue in the background that we don't know about.
As much as I like Russo, Beth England would have been fantastic to even use at the Euros. She didn't even get a single minute in the Euros.
No.
I'm looking at it as well. Beth England, she's got the same amount of goals as Russo this season, same amount of assists as well, with the same amount of goals. And I think, especially knowing she's in for me, a very poor Spurs side, that's a good achievement to have.
Oh no, 100%. She's carried them. She's carried them since she's joined them, and it's a lot. It's a lot for one person to be carrying the team. I mean, when you look over the scores, there's not even when they lose, she's scored at least one. She is. I mean, you just knew she was going to get that penalty against us in the North London derby that was over in East London. You just knew it was going to happen. It had to be Beth England. She loves a goal against Arsenal. It doesn't. I think as long as she's scoring, she's happy, sort of thing. I do feel Tottenham is the wrong move for her though. She should have gone to Leicester. Should have gone to Leicester.
That we should have gone for her. I said, because Russo was going in the summer, I would have made talks with Beth England and said, like, for instance, if you stay here till the end of the season, we'll come in for you because Russo's going. That's what I would have personally have done, because Beth England, she is a 15-goal-a-season striker. I think she's spectacular, and we need that kind of mentality in the squad. It's growing, but we're not quite there for the experience. Beth England has got experience, and I think that's something that's definitely lacking in especially higher up the pitch for Manchester United, because we're getting it behind now in terms of Blundell and Mary Earps and Honor. But we know Letizia is a little bit inexperienced. We look at, for instance, the forward line. Toons won the Euro, she's won the Championship, but nothing else there. You've got Leah Galton. I know she's very experienced, and we've got the Heat of Paris now, but I feel like you need something a little bit more.
You need that bit more
someone who can, you need that bit of bite. And in a lot of the games, we have missed that this season. Even though we're scraping out the one-goal wins and the two, it's still missing.
Yeah. Oh, no, exactly. You need that kind of player that has something a bit about them when you look at them as a player overall. It's a bit, again, I'm going back to Arsenal, Victoria Pelova. You know she's got something about her in the knockout stage of Champions League earlier this season, the way she took out Leah Volti. And I saw that we signed, and I thought, oh, God, that's going to be an awkward day coming into the dressing room like that. But now she's settled down, she is that player that's got something about her.
Was it true about Blastinius? Was she involved in a swap deal with Russo?
I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me. That's why she went so quiet. It wouldn't surprise me, if I'm honest with you, but it's all talk again. Exactly. It's paper talk, and it's. I think I heard that off Sky Sports initially on their WSL page. And I was like, okay, that's a bit odd, but we know how they like to stir when it comes to the Man United's, Arsenal, Chelsea, and Cities of any league.
Absolutely. One last thing, before I do move on, Hurting. Like, I haven't seen much of it at all this season. Is she injured? She's not
she's been so injured, and she just hasn't had any luck with her injuries. She hasn't had that time to settle, and I think she is one of those players that's going to take an exit in the summer, unfortunately. I saw her in that semi-final with Wolfsburg. She's just so hesitant, no confidence in her at all. Whether she stays, I have no idea. But she'll have to settle a bit quicker if she does. We'll need her up and running fully by the end of October, minimum.
We've seen in the Euros as well. She was like Blackstenius's substitute for Sweden, and I think that's probably what Arsenal was probably looking at when they signed her as well.
No, I think we definitely were. I mean, Stina's great, but when she gets tired, her head drops, and you see that in the amount of time she's offside, and how like her misses and things like that. It's not a case of adapting for her anymore. It's a case she can't play a full 90 minutes all the time. And she has carried us for most of the second half of the season. And you can see she's tired. You can see that.
Yeah, I agree. She's played a lot of games this season as well for me.
But when Beth Mead and Mead Martis, it's a blow. It's a kick in the teeth, to be honest with you.
Because she joined in January as well, and she last year she was like, I think she had like 7 goals or something within a couple of months, if I remember.
Yeah, between January and May, she had about 7, which was not bad for a January signing at all. But she just goes through these periods, I've noticed, especially over the season, where she'll be banging in the goals, and then she'll go quiet for a bit, and then she'll stop banging them in again. And it's a case of, if she misses a few times in a few games back to back, her confidence drops dramatically, and she needs for her to keep banging in them goals to get a 15 season completely. She will have to keep scoring and not miss any, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Hey there, hope you're well. Thanks for coming in. Yeah, I'm gutted as well with the loss, of course. And hey there as well, Leslie. Thank you for coming in. Hope you're well. Thank you for the like. So we'll do Man United now. I know we've already touched on it a little bit, dribs and drabs as well, and I do think definitely Manchester United have over-exceeded. Because I think that when it came to this season, We said we will snatch anyone's hands off here for Champions League football. We want it. We crave it. We want all the best players here to come to Manchester United. We want to eventually compete for the Champions League. That was our ambition, because we looked at Real Madrid, who formed the same time as us, and think, how are these getting into constant Champions League, but we're not? Is there something that we're behind on, or are they ahead of schedule? And we were saying this year, especially knowing that there's 12 players up for contract in the summer, it's make or break. Champions League or nothing now. Because if we don't get the Champions League, we're not going to have the majority of these players, and we're going to have to do a completely different rebuild. And I think that was really worrying the fan base. So getting into Champions League football, being in first place for a lot of the season was nice. But I think we do know Chelsea will win it. Hopefully, as Twalumba said, hope you do us the favour. But I do think the FA Cup final, the Champions League has been great. The players, Golden has been superb. Having fantastic player Laetitia coming in, she has really brought stability in that back line. I think the confidence of Marriott's getting given the best goalkeeper in the world, that really helped her confidence too.
But I think with her, you need to remember she has got that one awful blunder in her. You just don't know when it's going to sneak up on her. I mean, was it a few weeks ago she had that one?
She had one in it was the Brighton FA Cup, from what I remember, and she done an absolute howler and was like, "Do it now, don't do it, don't do it in the final."
Yeah, no. The thing is, you want it out of the way then, rather than in a final. To be honest with you, so. But no, yeah, Mary Epps is a class keeper. She had, you saw that in the Euros, and she's continued riding that wave. I mean, have you seen her mural up in Nottingham yet? It's where she was dancing on the desk, and they posted like when Serena was doing her post match interview when they invaded, and it's absolutely bloody brilliant. Yeah, man, you've exceeded your expectations this season for me, but I don't think you're going to get the title.
No,
I really don't. Not with Chelsea's games in hand.
No,
they're going to beat West Ham Wednesday night. Yeah, West Ham aren't going to beat them at home. I'm sorry. If it was someone like City, maybe, but no. It's a case of, can Arsenal nick a draw off Chelsea? And I think I can't remember who their last game of the season is.
Who's Chelsea's?
Yeah,
Reading.
Yeah, Reading are going down, and then then it's Reading and us, and I think if Arsenal are going to lose to them, it's got to be minimal. For me personally, it's got to be minimal.
They've got the easiest game out of the top three for the final game of the season, because we got Liverpool, yous have got Villa, and they've got Reading. So it's just a matter of how many for Chelsea on that day.
Thing is, Reading. I'm gonna reside on Reading going down for now, but Chelsea are just gonna walk all over them. They really are. I think they had. Was it Reading that had a 3-2 score earlier this season? Unless they really have the opportunity to, like, stand up against them and keep themselves up because of a 1 point difference, I think they'll fight for it. They won't go down without a fight, but I just can't see them beating Chelsea. No. Really can't.
Neither can I, unfortunately, to be honest. And I think the thing is, I know it's going to be gutting to say, "Oh, we've lost the league game," but I'm still going to be proud of how the team has been this season. I know you've probably seen on social media as well about the dislikes Skinner gets with our fan base.
Yeah, no, I've come across, Maisy, you're one of the very few sensible Man United fans that I know of on social media, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I've come across a certain someone in your fan base that says you're going to win the Champions League next season. Like, with the players that you've got, and I'm sitting there thinking, have you seen Barcelona Wolfsburg play? Have you seen Bayern Munich play? Have you seen Zurich play? Like, these teams are in the Champions League for a reason. You need to take it seriously. Me personally, I think it's going to sound harsh. I think you'll, depending on your recruitment, I think you'll be lucky to get out the knockout stages. I'll be
That's
honest with you.
if we actually qualify though, because we've got to have the playoffs yet again.
Yeah.
In the playoffs, you could get anybody in them playoffs. You could get PSG. You could get Real Madrid. And that's exactly who City got knocked out of in the playoffs. Real Madrid.
Exactly. And it all depends on it all depends on that, if I'm honest with you. And if you manage to get out of that, I don't see you going further than the group stages as first timers. I really don't. Unless you do a Roma. That's a very different story.
Yeah, I can't see it at all, to be honest. It's just
I mean, it took us 10 years
but...
to get to our semi-final. The one that's just gone 10 years. We've got to the quarterfinals, gone out. That's what we've been doing. I mean, we went out to Wolfsburg last season at quarterfinals, but to get them in the semi-finals is just unbelievable. It's gone out to the same team, but we went down without a fight, and I appreciated that. So,
to our Lumbers said that we won't even make out the playoffs with Skinner as a manager.
To be honest with you, it's going to be interesting to see how he copes. And if he's reacting like that in a final, how is he going to react in the playoffs?
I think he bottles it under pressure. And that's something you can't do. I'm not going to say it's all like Matt Skinner. He's never had, for me, he's never had a bigger job than Manchester United. Because he's at Birmingham. He's at Orlando Pride, who doesn't get relegated. And I think the thing is, compared to Casey Stoner, he's had tremendous backing. I would like to say getting Nikita Paris, getting Lucia Garcia, I understand last season, a lot of the players who came in was Casey Stoney's type of players. I understand that. But when you're getting players who's coming in who suits Matt Skinner, you are wanting to expect a little bit more success from him in the following season. And I think the thing is, what annoys some of the players is, some of the fans is, one, the rotation. Because some people say, like, I agree with this, is you look at Ella Toon, she was terrible in the final, and she hasn't been great at all this season. I know she's got 8 assists, but she hasn't been on the level compared to the season before. And you've looked at Vilda Borisa. She's had, every time she's played, she's scoring. She's getting put in class games on. She literally nutmegged 3 Tottenham players in a row to bring the ball forward and to create. And then you're looking at, how can a player play so well like that, but only get 80 minutes of the WSL game? And I think that, and you look at, like, you've got Tukara, who's coming from Atletico Madrid. Atletico Madrid, a very big team in Spain, especially in the women's. And you're thinking, how has she gone from going in Atletico Madrid to not even getting a game time since Durham in the Connect Cup group stages?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. I do feel like your Lionesses, out of the whole team, they are tired. The amount of times they start every game, and they've been playing for England constantly. They're always going to start for England. We know who our regular starters for England are now. And I think it's a case of rotation. You need to start resting these players. Stina Laxdenius is the main example at Arsenal this season. She needs to be rested. Viv Miedema, before she got her injury, was being rested more frequently. So was Beth Mead. It's a case of squad depth. I mean, it's not like you don't have it.
We do have the squad depth, and this is the first time we've had a full team.
Yeah, exactly. And your injuries are reasonably low as well. So why isn't he rotating?
And I think
that's what you want to have.
We see, like, comments he makes as well, and I can understand why it annoys people. Like Leah Golan, look how fantastic she's been this season, and then he goes, "Oh, Leah," I think it was after the City game. "Oh, Leah had a great game, but she needs to work on playing on a right winger and playing as a striker." And we was like, why would you want to play a player out of position who's been amazing this season?
I can understand where he's coming from. You need that versatile player like Katie McCabe. She can play at the right fullback, left fullback, or up front. Like, you need that versatile player, but some players are not suited to be that versatile. You need to find a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
So to speak. And she's not one of them. She's great where she is, but that's what he's looking for, and he hasn't got that player for me. And that's what he's complaining about, I feel.
I think the closest person for me is probably Nikita Paris.
I didn't see much of her when she came back. I'll be honest with you, I'm not overly impressed with her when she was with Arsenal.
I understand that.
So, but she does look a lot happier at Man United than she did with us, I'll be honest with you. A lot happier.
I think she's probably our most versatile player, but I just think some people are just not overly happy with the comments he makes. And what about Bo Reese? Like,
it's a constant negative attitude, I feel.
Yeah, it's very negative. You say, oh, Bo Reese had a good game, but she's not good enough in training.
Yeah.
And we're like, what's with the buts? Like, don't out your players like this.
Don't tear your players down when they've had a superb game. Just don't do that. You keep that behind closed doors. You deal with it then. You don't put it in the press and give them public knowledge of it. You as fans, you don't want to be hearing that. It's one thing you don't want to be hearing. It's like what you want to look from the outside where we're sitting and see that team as one sort of thing. That you want to see them playing for each other and not expecting negative comments back for their performances. It's demotivating, and you don't, especially when you've been top of the league for so long, you don't want to be hearing that.
No,
at all. I mean, I know this is going to harsh to say, if you lost one of your games before the end of the season, it wouldn't surprise me.
Neither would it. Wouldn't surprise me. And knowing I was there thinking, now this is happening in the final, it makes me think City's going to put on a masterclass against us.
I hate to say it, they've only won last 3 in the last 5. They probably are. They probably are. They're going to be. They want another team that's scrapping for the Champions League. Although they might not make it out of the playoffs, they're scrapping for it.
Exactly. Ooh. Hey there, John. Thanks for coming in. Hope you're well. Thank you so much for the £4.99 super chat. Really means a lot. Yeah, it was a shame with the performance, but I really appreciate the super chat. Thank you so much for your support, John. Thank you as well, Reese, for the £5 super chat. Really, really means a lot. And hey there, Luca. Thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. So we'll just quickly say as well with the WSL, who finishes in what position in the top 3?
Chelsea, Arsenal, Man United, City. I am being a bit. I've got my Arsenal hat on. I'm being a bit biased over here, but I do. If I was put my team rivalries aside, Chelsea, United, Arsenal, City. I would like to finish above you guys, but because we got Chelsea, I can't see it. I can't see it.
I had Chelsea, United, Arsenal, Man City.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you know what? It's the way this season's gone. That's what you expect, to be honest. But with when you have your own personal bias, you shuffle things around. You always want your team to do better. So, but I completely agree. It'd be Chelsea, United, Arsenal, Man City. I think there's no way Villa are moving out of 5th. You've got Everton. I don't know. The thing is, there's only 5 points between Everton and Liverpool. Could they sneak it up, do you think?
Oh, that's an interesting one, isn't it?
I mean, they've got Villa and you guys at the end of the season, so maybe not.
No, I think Villa might stay where they are, to be honest.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think it's like one of them, like, you've got the top 4, then you got Villa and Everton, and then the rest of the league. It just feels like there's big, massive drop-offs in between each.
Yeah, no, 100%. Right. I have got a question for you, though, if you don't mind me asking. Who's getting relegated?
Oh.
14 points to be safe.
If you asked me at the start of the season, I would have said Leicester. But now I'm looking at it, now, I would say Reading. But I want Tottenham to get relegated now after what Daniel Levy said.
Do you know what? I wouldn't mind, but I like my 6-pointer games twice a season. So I'm like, no, I want to see the Emirates Stadium full. So that's the thing for me. And I enjoy the Arsenal fans taking over their ground in East London. Is it Leyton Orient they're over right now?
Yes.
Yeah, but basically their 11 fans turn up and then the Arsenal turn up and we just take over a whole stand.
I think
It's
they've
great.
got the worst attendance, don't they, in the WSL? Them and
Yeah,
Everton.
they do. When you've invested in one player, like, you need to invest across the board. You don't just like, you've got a consistent goal scorer, invest in the rest of the team. But he won't spend his money because he's wasting money on the men's team. There's potential there for Tottenham, and you can see, like, you and Tottenham came up at the same time, and you can see the investment and the difference of it. You see the difference; it's massive.
And even considering so, Manchester United rumoured had the 6th highest budget in the WSL in the summer.
Wow, I can believe that as well.
But we still brought some fantastic players through, considering.
Oh no, 100%. You've got. There's no doubt in as much as people moan about oh, they got they whoever's got whatever team. You look at these guys, like, each team in depth. You can see the quality within each team, regardless of if you've got big names or not. I mean, if you look at somewhere like, say, I'm going to go for Liverpool. You've got Missy Kearns. She's not fantastic, but she's still a good player. And there's several others in there that you could add to that list. And the quality is there. It's just a case of how well do you gel? How well are you going to play together? Is there a plan B when it goes wrong? And that's what you want to see from every team. You want people to fight for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll get 3 questions from the chat, then we'll wrap up. I think this one will be a good question from Rather. Thoughts on the upcoming transfer window? Have you got any players linked at the moment?
We were linked to someone over in Piemonte over in Italy. We have now lost interest. Everton and Liverpool won her. And then there was someone from Liga F. She was a centre back. I got really irritated with someone because someone said, "Well, we don't need a centre back," and I'm like, Leah Williamson's out for a minimum of a year. Jen Beattie could be retiring, and we've got Lotta Moy to manage the season. It's not going to happen, so we need a centre back. I feel like we need someone else up front instead of Lena Hurtig as well.
Yeah,
and maybe and probably someone on the left back, because Steph has been injured a couple of times and we've had to do makeshift.
For me, at the moment, I think it's very hard to say who Man United need to sign. The only reason why is because 12 players are up for contract. We don't know who's going to be going or who's staying. So if I was looking at, say, for example, everyone stays, I'm going to look at, for instance, I say we definitely need a fullback on the left back role because Blundell can't play every game.
Yeah.
I think we need a backup goalkeeper because I think there's a massive drop off between Mary Ertz and Bagler. And you look at other teams, they're not the number 2. Their number 2 is horrific, but there's still a bit of a drop, but it isn't a massive drop off.
No, 100%. I mean, I do feel Mary Earps is too comfortable. She knows she's going to play every game. She's too comfortable. You need someone to unsettle her. It's like if you look at Arsenal, Manu Zinsberger, she wasn't unsettled by Kayla Marquise, but you've got D'Angelo come in. Zinsberger stepped up again because D'Angelo is a very good keeper. She was very good against City in the Conti Cup semi-final. That was the first time I fully got to see her play at Meadow Park, and yeah, she can unsettle Manu. She will at some point, especially for cup games.
And I think as well we need a striker to compete with Russo.
Do you know what?
Just because
I'd just go and buy Beth England, will you? Just do it. That will unsettle Alicia Russo. That will unsettle her.
I'd actually more than happy sign Beth England, but apart from that, if we was going to keep everyone, I think it's pretty much sorted because I think Jane Riviera looks fantastic back up for Honor. I think as much as she's not playing, Vildebo Riso is a fantastic backup to have the Ella Toon. I think Hayley Ladd is superb. Actually, yeah, we need a backup defensive midfielder for Hayley Ladd. That's another one because we don't have because we got rid of Jade Moore on loan to Reading and her contract terminates anyway in the summer.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that'll be another one we need. And we've got a couple of midfielders who can play. We've signed a new player from Villa, 17-year-old Rabjon. Evie Rabjon from Villa. She signed her first professional contract, and we're looking at as well, from what I've been reading, a Rangers young player called Emma Watson. She's supposed to be a midfielder.
Oh, that'd be a really good signing.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've watched her once and I was like, oh, yeah, that is going to be a very good signing if you get her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hope we do, and I think Man United is looking at more the youth type of players now, because I think beforehand we had quite a young squad, but because we brought in some older players in, like Rachel Williams, and Mary Earps is getting a little bit older, and I think that's put our age up a little bit. But for Zoe, Leon is still a Man United player. She's moved to the NWSL on loan, and I think she's gone in the summer anyway. I don't think Skinner likes her. I think there's something what's happened there, because she's only had 60 minutes of WSL football.
Mm-hmm.
From playing every game, it's really weird how she's gone from every game at West Ham, and I think when she has played, you see that bit of bite as well, and I don't understand it, because at times it was like Skinner said, "Oh, I watched one of these press conferences. Oh, Leon's not done good at training, so she hasn't come onto the bench."
Yeah, no, something's happened behind closed doors. And it's a bit like the whole Jordan Nobbs situation with Jonas. Mm-hmm. Although she was in the process of breaking up with Leah Williamson, it's obviously affected behind the scenes. So you just didn't see her. And once that had all calmed down, she was slowly brought back into the mix before she left. So that my personal opinion, there's something gone on in the back there, and you guys don't know about it. None of us do.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Reese has asked who your player of the year is, so we'll go on WSL and player and the team. Arsenal, and I'll do Man United. For Man United, for me, I'm gonna have to go for Honor, just because I think she's been amazing. She's just getting better and better each game. Closely followed by Galton and Letitia. And then for WSL, I'd have to go Rachel Daly.
Oh, I think within my club, I'm going to have to give it to Kate McCabe, mostly because she's dragged us through the last few weeks as captain. She managed to not get a yellow card until Man United beat us 3-2 at the Emirates, which is a record. I was sitting there and like, I wish I never opened my mouth with this. I said to my mate, this is the day she can get a card. Lo and behold, what happened in the second half. So it's Kate McCabe. She dragged us all the way through. I'm going to have to give it to Rachel Daly. For the WSL, she's just been incredible. I've just enjoyed watching her every moment of her, and it's made me a fan of her as a player, big time.
Yeah, I like her even more now.
Yeah, exactly. You watched her, and if you watched her closely enough in the Euros, you know what you're going to get from her. But and it's in sort of coming into the season, if you didn't watch the NWSL, you didn't know what you were getting. Put it that way.
Mm-hmm. Before Rachel Daly moved to Villa the January before, Man United was actually linked to getting Rachel Daly on loan.
Oh, no way.
And I think it ended up like breaking down a couple of days before the transfer window ended, which we was kind of gutted at, because she was actually attending all our games as well. But we knew at the time she was dating Millie Turner, so we thought, oh, is it because she's seeing Millie Turner play, or is it because she wants to come play for us? But the thing is, you don't see many players like Rachel Daly who could play literally anywhere on that field.
No, exactly. They're few and far between. I mean, obviously, at Arsenal, that player is Katie McCabe.
Yeah.
And then you've got Rachel Daly at Villa, and it's they're like gems, diamonds in the rough when you find players like that, and clubs will cling on to that. It's like this whole McCabe thing to Chelsea. I was like, no, and now I'm seeing around on my feeds at the moment, Kate McCabe and Chelsea shirt. It's giving me nightmares. Honestly, it's something I never want to see. It makes my skin crawl. I'll be honest with you, Maisy.
Oh, no, I bet you. To be honest, I can't see her doing that. I think she's Arsenal through and through, I'd say.
She's one of our own. Although she didn't come for our academy, she's one of our own.
Exactly. From that, we will wrap it up. Thank you, Lottie, for coming on. I know it's been a little bit longer, but I've really enjoyed the discussion as well.
Oh, no, thank you for having me on. I mean, I just as I said to you at the beginning of the show, it's not very often I get to talk WSL football apart from on my own pod. I do drop it in John's channel, and John will know when I'm talking about other things. But yeah, no, it's been great just not to talk about my own team all the time. Like, I try and sort of digress away from the Arsenal, but I always end up coming back, unfortunately. But yeah, no, thank you so much for having me, honestly.
You're welcome. Would you like to shout out your socials and as well as your channel?
Yeah, sure. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at Lottie_AWFC. Also, I've got a new pod being recorded tomorrow night that will be dropped on Wednesday for the preview for the Everton game. And that channel is Vic Acres Wonderland.
Thank you so much for coming on, Lottie. I've really enjoyed it. If you haven't already, go and subscribe to Lottie's channel. Hit that like button and subscribe button as well. Take care, everyone. I'll see you Wednesday for the Man United women preview versus Man City. Bye-bye.